We are the insurgents.
And we are back live. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Before I get to the second article on the New World Order, the first one entitled Obama and the New World Order, Part 1. Again, we talked about the adapting. You know, maybe we should bring that up. I know I don't have it here, but if you guys just type in adapting to the New World Order Canada, just show people that this was a huge conference. And it lasted, I believe, 3 or 4 days. We had somebody from Canada, Sam LeBriere, on the program last week to discuss this conference. And what really alarms me about this is that the media is embedded. This is a pro-world government article. The National Post actually helped sponsor this. So we have media organizations who are outwardly for globalization, global governance, and international law. International law what does that mean? That means less human rights for you. And you are born with your inherent human rights. What the Constitution and Bill of Rights does in this country is tries to protect you from government infringing on those human rights. Tries to say, no, you can't take these rights away. You are born with them. They are God-given. But international law, the ends often justifies the means, and the greater good, you just have to... It's the old scenario where, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And what happens when you're one of the eggs? That's the bottom line. So I want to get to part 2 of that article because part 2 is just as important, whereas in part 1 and these other articles, I covered the United States of America, Canada, the UK, and I believe, which one was the other one? There was a fourth nation, I think, in there as well, but I can't think of it off the bat. Well, globally, the Internet, the EU, that's what it was, the European Union. So that's even more than 4 countries. Well, in part 2, it gets even bigger, but I'm going to hold off for a second. I want to let people know that we have awesome deals right now on Reflections and Warnings with Aaron Russo up at Infowars.com. How awesome, you ask? Well, you can actually get this DVD free if you purchase Endgame and some other ones that are up at Infowars.com right now. And if you haven't seen Endgame, folks, what are you waiting for? This is the definitive eugenics film by far. It is. There's nothing else out there like it. Alex Jones does a bang-up job in this film. It's still being discovered across the world. That's why these movies are important. They have shelf lives of 5, 10. I believe they're going to have 15, 20, 50-year shelf lives. Like my movies, they'll long outlast Jason Bermas. Jason Bermas is a human being. Jason Bermas is going to come and go. So is Alex Jones. We don't plan on living forever with the elite on some space mission into nowhereness. We don't plan on that. We're mortal. But films and books and our work will transcend that and hopefully reach future generations. And, it seems so long ago, but I think Endgame was 2006. I'm pretty sure Endgame's 2006, almost 3 years old. So much great information in that. So check it out. And, of course, Reflections and Warnings, pretty brand new. I think we've only had it in stock for about a month, so go check it out. All right, so let's go to New World Order Part 2, and we're going to get to your calls in a moment. It's 866-582-9933 if you want to talk about anything I've discussed or bring up your own topics. I would appreciate it if we could stay off Ardent Century and the Northcom drills and June 22nd, and there's a new picture on the website. I'm aware. Folks, you know what? I will wear egg on my face if the picture on the website on Monday, the building they're showing from D.C. is blown up, because I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a major psyop. I think it's something that they're going to point. Look at all these conspiracy theorists. They're all pointing to this. Ha, 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 ha. They're so easily fooled. They're so ignorant. I think that's the deal with that. So I'd rather not talk about that. If you got to bring it up, I guess you got to bring it up. But 866-582-9933. So New World Order Part 2, what are they discussing? Well, they're discussing that meeting with the other side, I guess, of the New World Order, because this is globalization, but certain nations, want to work with other nations, and there is a power struggle in there. I don't think that Russia necessarily is very happy where they stand in this global order. I don't think China is very happy. I don't think Brazil is very happy, and it appears that India must not be too happy either with the United States occupation in the Middle East and their overwhelming support for Pakistan. I'm guessing that's where they're angry here. So all of those nations have met in a little conference talking about the economy and dropping the dollar. And we're going to be talking about a dropping dollar and a dropping Canadian dollar in just a moment as well. Jam-packed show. Just want to let you know, jam-packed. The latest entry to help participate actively in the New World Order, the one that doesn't exist, the one that Jason Bermas makes up on a nightly basis. See, I have incredible mind powers. People don't realize it. I think New World Order a whole bunch, and then magically people in the mainstream media across the world, not only in the mainstream media, but political leaders and corporate leaders alike, start talking about it and writing about it. But apparently I can only read it. You see, it must not exist otherwise. The headline must be something other than New World Order Part 2, because it doesn't exist. The latest entry to help participate actively in the New World Order is a concocted coterie calling itself BRIC. The Davos, and if you don't know what Davos is, it's another one of these globalist meetings. This one actually gets the tiniest bit of media coverage by Bloomberg and CNBC. That's about it. You might hear about it very quickly in other media outlets. But Davos, they set a lot of policy at Davos. It's just like these G8, these G7, G12. All these meetings are about globalization. They're on a smaller scale than, say, a Bilderberg Group meeting. But globalization is the main play here. The Davos-derived acronym for the biggest up-and-comers economically, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. The BRIC group has absolutely nothing in common except that they want to have a say in the multipolar world that has evolved now that the Yankee hegemon is flat on its economic back. They're going to call us Yankees? Listen, I love the Yankees. How dare you make that into a derogatory term outside of their coach right now? Okay? Get Girardi out of there. What's going on? What did they drop, like 10 of their last, 12 games or something? It was outrageous. I think they went on an 8-game loss streak last week. I don't even follow it that much. I basically get my news from either I'll turn into Howard 101 and listen to Pharrell or Artie complaining about how badly the Yankees are doing. Way to kick us while we're down. You know what I'm saying? So, Yankee hegemony. It's not Yankee hegemony anyway. We all know who runs the deal. The people that have the Federal Reserve, the people that print the money. It's far from United States run. It's really Europeans, isn't it? Yeah, they kept a lot of power. They got a lot of scratch. And that's why again, the European Union is saying, let's regulate the internet globally. That sounds like a great idea. And by the way, let's have court cases without juries. We're going to get to that in a moment. That's right. They just said, you know what? We're going to rule on it. Court cases without juries. And it's so funny because you would think that they would use a court case that was political or under national security or something towing the line. No, they're going all out. This is just a robbery, an armed robbery. And no trial. They won't even say who the 4 defendants are, which is extremely bizarre. But we'll get into that later. Let's finish this one up. Let's see. They joined the throng, which now includes desperate partnerships for power, such as the original G7. Global government is born. There it is. It's born right here. Oh, global government. Oh, global government's not supposed to exist. The significance of all this summary is that the world is rapidly restructuring itself into a system of globalized governance as a result of the meltdown. See, they need the economic meltdown to bring in the next phase of their global order. This is something we've been talking about for years. The people won't go along with something like this that is going to be uncomfortable to them unless they're already feeling uncomfortable. They're bulldozing U.S. cities, including parts of Flint, Michigan. Okay? The homeless could be homed. We could put them in houses. We have the houses. But no, they want big land grabs so they can make big FEMA centers where your friends and your family can go when they're booted into the street, when the mobile medical van isn't enough, when the government cheese flows from the FEMA camps. That's where they'll be going, to the bulldozed cities that they have makeshift military, and they'll probably be international military, kind of like NATO. Yeah, that's delicious, huh? If they're not UN run, they'll just name it some other organization and put it under international rule. You watch. Let's see what we got here. Commonwealth Secretary General Ram Sharma at the recent conference of Montreal. This is the one we're talking about. We are talking about the end of geography, the death of time and distance, a compacting world, non-polarity. This means a demand for social justice, redistribution of rights. You got to love it when they redistribute things. Remember when we were getting out of the Middle East? No, we're just going to redistribute forces from Iraq into Afghanistan. And we're just going to redistribute human rights to animals and animals' rights to humans. You may be a slave. I mean, that's oh, God. Opportunities and resources, not only on national terms, but international terms. It's all coded to try to make you feel more comfortable, turning up that heat as you're boiling. Oh, I think I'm in a hot tub. I think I'm living large. You're sitting back. Oh, this feels good. Oh, Oh, I'm getting a little sleepy. I'm tired. I'll just nap back. And by the time your eyes hit the lids, you're boiled, baby. And you don't even know it. And that's what this is. I mean, she talks about a new global vocabulary here. Talk about globalism. Don't believe me, folks. Just check out the National Post coverage on the New World Order. I mean, read it for yourself, because obviously I'm making this stuff off the cuff. I wrote these articles myself. I encoded them in another website to trick people, and then I printed them out so I could read them on air and trick even more people, because I'm a big trickster.